right, we are in our corn at the Jungle Farm. So this is not a maize, this is actually sweet corn. And the reason I can tell is the corn is about the same height as I am. When we're dealing with sweet corn, it doesn't grow super tall. When we're dealing with field corn that you would put in a corn maze, it's going to grow really, really tall, like 10 feet tall. So corn is one of the most interesting vegetables as far as pollination goes. So this top part at the top is the tassel, and that is actually the male part of the corn. And then if we go down, we will see that we have cobs down here, and the cobs will have silk, and the silk is the female part of the flower. So when we see the corn waving in the wind or in the breeze, this is really good news. So you'll see how it's moving in the wind. Because it's dropping its pollen down onto the silk, and when it drops it onto the silk, it actually pollinates it. So it does it all on its own. It doesn't need a bee to help it out. It can do it all on its own, and that's usually why it's recommended that corn's planted in a block, so in a square of some sort, so it can pollinate. When it's in rows, they say it should put multiple rows together so it can help by dropping the pollen down onto the silk. And we do that by planting 2 rows in each row of our plastic and trying to plant them together. So when I get down and I look into my corn and I look at my silk, one of the interesting things, or I think it's very interesting, is if I was to be able to count all these little strands of silk, I would know exactly how many kernels were going to be in this cob, because each one of these strands of silk are connect to a kernel. So each one of them needs to be pollinated to be able to get a cob or a kernel formed inside. And I've actually tried to peek inside this one to see if it's ready. So if we look inside, because I'm seeing color, and this is peaches and cream, because I'm seeing that both yellow and white, this one is ready to pick. So all I do is I pull down on my cob of corn and it'll come off and I will pick it. Now I'm going to show you another one that's kind of interesting. That is this guy right here. And if we look inside this one, we can see he's got lots of kernels happening, and they're nice and dark, which is good. We actually see there's holes. See that spot that has a hole right there? And that's because that kernel did not get pollinated. So the pollen from the tassel on top did not pollinate that particular strand of silk, and so it didn't get to pollinate it, so it didn't form a kernel. It'll still be yummy to eat, so I'm going to pull it down as well and be able to have it for supper. So there's a little lesson on corn and how to pick it and how it pollinates.